Good morning, everyone. A freiliche and a lichtige Chanukah. We're continuing here in the Hilchos, the laws of Kashrus by Rabbi Yomin Forst. And he writes the following idea. Din Michael Charif. What about eating a sharp, spicy, pickled, or an extremely salty type of a food based upon the halachas that we were speaking about previously, which is when you cook a para food in a Fleishig pot, are you allowed to combine it together with milchigs or eat milchigs afterwards? So listen what he writes. Kol ha'mavar la'el, everything that we have mentioned previously, nemar b'maycholim she'enim charifim. We're talking about foods that are not considered to be halachically sharp. Aval maichel charif, however, when you come to a sharp food, kamoit tznoin, like a radish, batzal, like an onion, shum, garlic, chazeres, horseradish, peros chamutzim, very sour pickled vegetables, for example, a pickle and the like, v'chein dagim meluchim, or very, very salty fish. You'll have to take a good look on the market to find those today, but if you had very, very salty fish, so he explains, yesh b'koicham, there is the ability within all of these foods that we just mentioned, lahashbiach es hatam hapogam. It could end up being mashbiach, it could end up, so to speak, influencing the flavor hapogam even after the flavor has left the pot, like we mentioned before. This will take on the flavor, or it will give over the flavor that is in there. He's going to explain what that means. Therefore, im bishal maichel charif stami, if you cooked a pariv food that is sharp, for example, let's say you're sauteing onions that are pariv onions, the kedera basaris, but you're doing it in a fleishig pot. So you have a meat frying pan, and you are sauteing your pariv onions in that frying pan. She'eino bas yoima, and the frying pan itself is not a bas yoima, which means it's been more than 24 hours since it was used for meat. So now we said previously that if it's more than 24 hours and it's used for meat, we're going to give it the status of completely like a pariv utensil. However, when you're dealing with a davar charif, when you're dealing with something that is sharp, like these items over here, dinai, we treat this vessel, kilo nizbashel b'keder bas yoima. We look at it as if you have cooked these onions, these pariv onions, in a vessel that is a bas yoima that really has been used within 24 hours. The asar li'achlo im chalav, and then you would not be allowed to eat this food together with chalav, together with dairy or milk products. So the power of the davar charif, of the sharp item, again, onions, garlic, radish, horseradish, even pickles and the like, or very salty fish, they have the ability to, so to speak, pull out the flavor that's still within the walls of this pot, even though that it hasn't been used for 24 hours. And that would mean then that the food would take on the halachic status of being fleishig, and therefore you would not be allowed to eat it together with milchigs. The chiddush though is that even though the status of it is meat, meaning that you cannot eat it together with milk, you can't take the onions, put them onto the pasta, and then sprinkle some cheese on top. You would not be allowed to do that. Aval, however, he writes, Ein sarich lahamtin sheishois la'acharav. You yourself don't gain the status of a person who's fleishig, who's meaty, and therefore you do not have to wait 6 hours till afterwards, which would mean that you could eat your pasta sauteed in onions, and it's all pariv. It was just cooked in a meat pot, and then right afterwards you'd be allowed to eat the dairy products because you did not become a fleishig, you did not become a meat type of a person as a result of eating this food. So that's, again, and we're going to see a little bit more of this tomorrow, keeping in mind that a davar charif, which means a sharp item, it's able to pull out, so to speak, the flavoring and the meat that's in the walls of that vessel that is being cooked in, and therefore we have to treat it as such when it comes in regards to eating it together with milchiks. We have more to say about the davar charif, and that Be'ezus Hashem will continue with tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.